everybody, welcome back to Bentley House. I'm Ara, and today I'm going to be photographing the Addams family members all over the Addams Family dollhouse. Kind of looks like a doll massacre now. I completed this set of 8 Addams Family members about a month ago when my final doll was created, and that was Wednesday. In that video, several of you said that you would love to see the family members themselves posed around the house. Now I have 8 family members here, and I have 12 spaces, and I'm saying spaces because it's about 10 rooms plus the roof and the front of the house area, which I did do a lot of photography there when I did the Addams Family graveyard scene. So I'm going to just be picking a doll, picking a location, and then photographing the doll in that location. Photographing 12th scale dolls inside of a dollhouse itself can sometimes be a little tricky. First of all, it's like a backwards game of Jenga, whereas in Jenga you have all flat surfaces and you're trying to carefully pull something out. In this case, you have something with no flat surfaces and you're trying to carefully balance it so that it looks correct inside of something with a lot of obstacles. The next struggle is oftentimes what we are using to photograph with. So I have this nice, beautiful camera that I have used in the past, but it is obviously huge and is not going to fit very well inside of these spaces. Thankfully, most modern phones actually take really nice photos, and they're thin enough to fit inside the house itself so that you don't have to constantly fight with knocking things over or moving things. You can also get some interesting shots this way. Finally, you want to make sure that you have plenty of light so your photographs come out well. Light can either make or break a photo. I have lots of natural light coming in from a window. I also have a few studio lights. But if you don't have studio lights, just get really close up to a window. Make sure it's a bright sunny day before you take your photographs. I'm also going to be playing around with this. It's a little clip-on light. You can find these in little hobby stores, and it could make for some interesting backlighting behind my characters, or I could clip it into a hallway, making some light come in through a doorway. I'm just going to get really creative with it and have fun with taking photos of my creations inside of my creation. Figured I'd start at the bottom here with the kitchen. I'm going to put Grandmama in the kitchen and start taking some photos. And of course, now that I'm on the floor, I have a friend joining me. So we'll see how much I can get done. First thing, I'm going to adjust the lighting. One last thing I'm going to say before we get started is you're definitely going to have issues keeping your head out of the lighting, and so that becomes an angles game. Moving your dollhouse around, moving your lighting around, so that you end up with the perfect shot that doesn't have your giant shadow in it. Guys probably remember the lighting that I installed last year.
When I started photographing Grandmama, I was really practicing moving the phone around, different angles, moving the doll around, trying to figure out the feel that I wanted for the Addams Family mansion. And what I found was that I could use the light to light up the doll's faces, and then I could use the lighting slider on my phone. So I have a Samsung phone. I'm sure this is typical to most phones, but once I had the light on the doll's face, I could tap on the screen and it pulls up like a little light bulb, and then I could just slide it to the darker side, and I would slide it to the point to where the face looked correct. It didn't look overblown, or it didn't look like there was too much light on the face, but then the background ended up looking very dark, which is what I wanted for the mansion. During this video, I will show you what it looks like on the phone, but then I'm also going to put the image up on the video screen just by itself, because it does look a little different than on my phone videoed by the video camera, and so I just want you to see that difference. But none of these were edited, they were just straight off of my phone. This was all done using those little lights that I pointed all over the place and using the lighting slider on my phone. All of these were just done that way. So once I clicked it, that was the photo. I did not edit or put a filter on any of these. I did a lot of backlighting in this instance. Backlighting is really cool because I could light up different parts of the kitchen, and a lot of times this makes it look like something else is going on in the background. It just gives the scene a little bit more life. For each doll, I made sure to do a couple poses. There's different places in the mansion which are a little bit easier to pose dolls that don't bend very well. These are traditional dollhouse dolls, and so they have very limited movement, and so I'm just trying to put them in places where it looks natural for them to be in the position that they are in. Some dolls, as you'll see coming up, are just more difficult to pose because they're just not very balanced, especially the men where they have pants on. So the women are a little bit easier to balance because Grandmama has skirts, Morticia has a base because of just the way her dress is. The men are a little bit more difficult to pose, and it takes a lot longer to get them into a position that looks natural and they're also not falling over at the same time. Like I said, it's very much like a game of Jenga, trying to keep them all in the correct position while taking a photograph. You will see most of the photos I took inserted into this video, but then I am also going to make a folder of them on my Facebook page if you want to see them all together.
I am finding these guys extremely helpful, and if I can find a link for these, I will leave it in the description below. But I think they're just really helpful for highlighting faces, especially for the Addams family, because in the movies particularly, I know that when Angelica Houston played Morticia Addams, there was always a light right on her face, and so I think it's really fun to play around with that, to play with the lighting in the background, lighting up the back of the room, lighting up the character individually, and I think it's making some really interesting pictures that are bringing my project to life. I'm going to, of course, focus on each individual character, but I'm also going to bring in a second character for at least one to photograph in each area of the house. So since I already have Morticia out, I'm going to move up and go to the conservatory, which is up and over there. As I was putting all the pieces into the conservatory, this is when I really started to realize how much is left to do in this project. And so I think once I'm done taking photographs of everything, I'm going to be making an updated to-do list to reach the finish line of the Addams Family project. It's only been 10 plus years now, and I'm really looking forward to finishing it up because I have some other projects in mind that I would like to start. The conservatory space is a little bit different than the basement, seeing as it has windows all the way around. Now, in the video, I don't think you can actually see out the windows, but when I start taking photographs, you very may well, and it doesn't make sense to have photographs out the windows of a mansion to be like a bookshelf, which is what is behind this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some black cardstock and I'm just going to lightly tape it on the outside so that my windows are blacked out from the outside and it just looks like it is nighttime. If you watched my video where I made Morticia, you'll remember that she has essentially two pairs of legs, or two pairs of, this is kind of like a mermaid fin, I guess, but she is wearing her standing legs at the moment so that she can stand inside of the conservatory. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a couple beauty shots of her, and all my girl dolls, Morticia, Wednesday, Grandmama, they all have heads that move, but the male dolls do not for some reason. So I'm going to definitely take advantage of that with the female dolls so that they look like they're interacting with the space. The male dolls have to just be moved so that they just look like they're looking in a certain direction, whereas For Morticia, I can adjust her head to look up towards Cleopatra. Can't forget a quick little photo with Dr. Penderschloss up here in the corner. She is a permanent resident, so we'll make sure we get a good photo of her along with our pet piranhas. Let's see how many living curiosities. Let's see how many living curiosities we can get in one photo. Let's see. I don't think Morticia would be too... Okay. It's really tempting to just glue everything in, but I won't do that. So we got one light on Dr. Penderschloss, and we'll get one light on Morticia. Alright, who should we add in here with Morticia? I think it should be Lurch. Lurch is the one that finds Dr. Penderschloss. So let's grab him and add him to the chaos that's going on. Okay, the hard part about Lurch is going to be that his head doesn't move, so he can't really look up. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Well, I broke my aquarium, so I'm gonna fix that real quick and then we'll continue on. So now I'm going to take Lurch and put him into the living room. For the living room area, I thought I'd try something a little bit different. I'm going to use some of these lights to light up outside the windows to make it look like there's some light coming into a dark room. This is going to create some light going across the floor, going across the furniture. I'm going to have Lurch doing his cleaning in the living room and probably just enjoying a little bit of peace while he's by himself. I'm going to actually flip a chair around here to hold him up because he's just not balancing very well. He's probably the worst balanced doll out of all of them. And so he typically is the hardest to get into a position that I really like. But honestly, I think it'll be okay. I actually need to, something about this vacuum cleaner, it's not holding up very well. So I'm gonna go fix this guy real quick. I've decided to photograph Wednesday in the dining room and the long dark hallway because they are probably the least photographed areas, but really any family member could be in this area, and it's right next to the dining room. So we're kind of going in an order a little bit. If you're unfamiliar with the house, the basement is down below, the conservatory is on the other side on this same level, living room, and then the dining room, and next we will go a little bit higher in the house. I'm going to do some backlighting again here because the dining room happens to be the darkest part of the house. The walls are pretty much black with black drapes, and so I want to make sure I get as much light, as much dramatic lighting as I can into this room. We're now going to move up to the second floor, which the first room you get into is Gomez's office. So I'm going to be posing Gomez up there. I know I didn't do a second character with Wednesday, but I'm sure she'll come back into play soon. I'm adding Cousin It into this scene because I imagine they could enjoy a few cigars in Gomez's office here. And of course, since we're right next door to Cousin It's room, I figure we could do Cousin It next. He's got this little alcove, a stairway up into his room. Now his room is the newest room, so it is unfinished, but we'll try and get, we'll try and get a few shots inside of his room as we go. As I said, Cousin It's room is the newest addition. It is a lot shorter than the rest of the rooms, and it needs a lot more custom furniture because it is a custom size. I've gone through some of the pieces I already own and found some smaller pieces that I think will work. For example, this is a petite princess chair, and so it is a bit smaller and works with this low ceiling height. There's not too much to be done when it comes to posing Cousin It because he's basically just a tower of hair, and so I Yeah, all I can do is just kind of sit him in there and he's posed. Next to Gomez's office and down the hallway is Gomez and Morticia's bedroom. I'm not going to be posing any dolls in there this time because when I did the Gomez and Morticia video, I did a few photographs in there, but I will show you how you can do some dramatic lighting in rooms because I know some of you are not doll people, you don't want dolls in your projects, but you can still take pictures of your miniatures without there being a human subject in there, and you can just highlight the room itself. We're finally moving on to the third floor, which is going to be Wednesday and Pugsley's room, the attic space, and Uncle Fester's room. And so I only have two dolls left who have not been featured, and that's going to be Pugsley and Uncle Fester. So I am just going to pose them around these areas, and then we'll be done, I guess. Uncle Fester is oftentimes portrayed as a lurker, so that's why I have him kind of half standing in his hallway in his room, kind of portraying that image. I think I also want to light up the vent back there. Alright, so we've got some light streaming in from the attic vent, and then we've got Uncle Fester lurking, and I think that's going to make for a much more dramatic photo. I don't know why I always think of Uncle Fester and Pugsley as best buds. It could be because of that scene in the movie where Pugsley is dressed like Uncle Fester, and Uncle Fester often just seems like a big kid. I think he's like the third kid around the house, except for maybe Pubert. So I really like the idea of posing these guys together. And finally, we end back up in the children's bedroom where Pugsley is trying to convince Wednesday to put Marie Antoinette into his brand new cement mixer. I really like these lights. I think they kind of serve as stage lighting, as if I'm lighting up a performance, and I think that gives it a very dramatic flair in all the pictures. So if you want to take some dramatic photos of your mini artwork, I definitely suggest something like this. Again, if I find these, I will put links down in the description, but if not, I will do my best to try and remember where I found them. So that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for suggesting that. I thought it was really fun to just take a moment, pose the Addams family members around the house, take some really fun, dramatic photos. I hope you guys enjoyed me kind of explaining how I did it in case you want to try and duplicate some of the same photo techniques that I used here. Also, I want to say a big thank you for 30,000 subscribers. It's blowing my mind. It's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed and you're enjoying this content, please make sure to subscribe. Also, if you haven't, if you have subscribed or haven't subscribed and are subscribing now, please hit the notification bell. It's a little bell that's right next to the subscribe button. This is what allows you to know whenever my videos are uploaded. Otherwise, YouTube's like, you may not really be interested in this. So if you want to know every time one of my videos goes up, just make sure to hit that bell, and then I think it's something like all notifications. That also lets you know when I live stream. Because we hit 30,000 subscribers, I will be doing a subscriber special soon, and I'm very excited. That's where I make a miniature and I give the free pattern to you guys. I am working on the pattern right now, and I hope to have that video up very soon. Hey guys, I forgot something. I was all done filming and I was putting everything away, and I realized I forgot I wanted to try out. Sorry, I'm all like squished in one corner because I have to plug this camera in, but it's a USB camera module, and it's this little tiny camera, and I thought it'd be really fun to see if, while I have the Addams family house set up, if I could do kind of like a video tour through the house. So what I did is I took the camera itself and then I just taped it onto a paint stirring stick, and basically I'm just gonna stick it like into the house and try to get like a doll's eye view of walking around in the house. So I'm not going to show me doing this because it's going to be awkward trying to get things lit up, but I will show you, whether it's good or bad, I will show you the outcome from this little camera tour throughout the Addams family house. I thought this would just be a little extra. I don't know, I might stick a few dolls in the corner so you guys can keep an eye out for that. But yeah, so let's give this little camera a try before we wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Kind of looks like a doll massacre now, because they're all lying down. Like, don't leave your dolls standing up in your dollhouse, because if you like bump it, they will fall over. But it now just looks like one of those where it's just like not good things happened and everyone's